Hi there, welcome back to Gadget Mad Lad. In this video I'm going to show you how you can make this your own monstrosity that I call the flip flop. It's nothing spectacular, I get that. It's just an easy way. Essentially, think this way: your bottom screen's broke and not your top one. You can still make a macro, right? Originally, the thing I used for this was out of I've got it knocking about. No, it's in the other room, sorry, but I've got a macro that I made. I've showed you in the previous video. It was like a grey one I sprayed black, just the bottom half of it. Well, originally I had a top screen left from that, and now before I did a solder mod to that, I did a solderless mod to it, which entailed using the top screen, which ironically enough, without the digitizer, is exactly the same as the top screen. So the bottom and the top are exactly the same, if you didn't know that in the original DS. Just the digitizer obviously is on the bottom one. Right, so what we need to do is, right, I'm gonna lose myself here a little bit, right. So the trick to this is there's no soldering required. You just need to be good with glue or whatever it is, or how you got to fill, the bottom screen area yourself. I chose to use glue and a bit of plastic, to keep it flat while it's set. So I've got these little imperfections there. I couldn't be bothered waiting. Impatience is always a case in it. So anyway, the point being is in this video now I'm gonna, because the top and the bottom screen are the same. This is a faulty bottom screen from this because it had lines in it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this apart. I'm gonna take the backlight out of this, and I'm gonna show you how I connected that to the inside of this and got it working without any soldering. You get me? So for now, I will quickly take the game out of that just first of all. To the side, this won't knock it. This is already broke, so nothing really can happen to that. Obviously, I can break the cable, which wouldn't be good, because that wouldn't be good, because that's what you need to do. You need to preserve that. In order to make this solderless, so you don't have to do any soldering. And by any soldering, I mean you don't have to solder any speakers in place. You have to solder any fuses in place. Nothing like that, like normal for macro. In some ways, this could be the possible easiest way of doing it, if you get what I mean. Got a comment off Retro Future as well on my previous video to this, which I was pretty chuffed about. So if you watch it, Elliot, thanks for that, mate. Made my night, that one. But the point to this is, like, if you've got a broken DS original, I am going to try this on the DS Lite as well, and the DSi, and the DS IXL. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. Obviously, I want to make one of every single version of the macro that I can potentially make. I'm going to make it. Not for any reason other than just making it. I've got a crap ton of spare parts. And by a crap ton of DS Lite wise, I've got boards, not the actual cases. I've got a few broken cases, but not enough for all the actual boards I've got. And board wise, I've got about 10, 15 DS Lites that I haven't got, the boards and shit, the cases even, should I say, or screens. I've got about 5 that I've got screens and some cases. So my intention is to make every variation that can be made of the macro. I'm going to make it. God damn it. Some will be ugly, some might be even nice. But it's just a cheap way to play your console with a little bit of fandango. That's what I like about this though, because there's no soldering required, and it is literally, well, think about it this way. If you do the bottom screen, you need to solder a fuse in place, or do this thing with the ribbon cable from the top screen, kind of tuck it all away, which leaves you less space than you'd think. You've got to lose the cartridge slot for starters. If you want space for, speaker, you need to solder your speakers in place as well. You see this little thing here? Show you, look. So on the bottom screen there's only one of these things connected. That's because that bottom one there is your bottom light, to be honest with you, you can probably do it if you see these exposed bits there. Camera focus. See the exposed bits of the gold on the terminal? If you actually broke the, it from the, if you say you're trying to do this and you break the actual cable while you're doing it, conserve this bit here, because what you could do, you might need to get a multimeter, and there will be soldering required if you do this, if you break that is. You could solder a 330 ohm resistor between 2 points on this connector here, and it'd do the same thing as what this is doing now. Does that make sense, if you get what I mean? My intention originally was to do it with a DS Lite. I wanted to do this with, but that didn't work out too well, so I kind of gave up hope and threw all my eggs into one basket with this. I'm not disappointed with it. The outcome, to be honest with you, I do like it, me. It feels substantial in your hands, regards to, like, you know, the handhelds, like, they're a bit, give you claw fingers and stuff. This is decent, this. You know, like this, you know, if you use a DS Lite for any amount of time, you know what I'm talking about, essentially. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. Oh, pain in the fingers, should I say, because you get, like, kind of claw on, don't you? It's like arthritis. Your hands start to twist around, kind of thing. I feel like they're twisting around. It's not major bad or anything like that, but when you're doing, like, a gamer sesh, which I don't really do that often much myself, to be honest with you, anymore. I did when I was younger, but as an old fogey, not so much. Anyway, so, as we can see here, I'll disconnect that, because I had a bit of trouble when it first assembled it. This is really stiff going in for some reason, so it wasn't aligned properly, so I was just getting nothing but white on the top, which originally I had to set the bottom screen up with, you know, with no bottom screen up kind of thing, with using another one to follow along with. Oh my god, it's pain in my butt. I keep nearly swearing. So if one does slip out, I do apologise. Right, so, see this? This is what's taped up here and pinned down to the board is the LEDs from the top screen originally. But you can get, like I said, I'm going to show you how to get them out of the bottom screen. But again, it works at the top or the bottom. So you could use this, if you just reverse the method a little bit, you could make a solderless bottom version if you wanted instead. I suppose the same concept works. Alright, so here, if you don't know if you saw the inside of it, I can't really crack it open right now because obviously all the buttons are fly everywhere, but this here is just epoxy. Don't know if we've got any tubes of it knocking about. There you go. It's this stuff. I only bought it from the pound store. It's just this stuff. You get two for £1. You get 2 packs of these 2 packs, so it's like 2 of them and 2 of them, and that's what you get for £1, up £1, whatever. You mix the 2 together, and it dries rock solid. It's like this plastic now is harder than it was originally, so it's actually quite. I use it for me, you know, my DS Lites and stuff to strengthen, you know, the kind of back of it, you know, where you take the triggers. Kind of reinforces the plastic, and I'm gonna lose myself again. I do this a lot. I'm really sorry. Anyway, stay with me now. Stay with me. All right. So where we are up to with this, right? So this is what I'm gonna show you in a second. I'm gonna show you what goes into that. Yeah. So for the time being, let's move this to one side safely. So I'll put the top bit there, and I'll put the bottom bit there. That'll do. Right. So this don't need to be too careful with, but you need to be kind of careful. If that makes sense. So, I mean, I'll tore these apart so I can be a little bit more firm with it, because I know roughly what I'm doing. Famous last words. That's quite useful. I might be able to use that for like an insulation or something, so nothing goes to waste on this channel. Alright, so first of all, we want to get the digitizer off, so with that we'll use the blade. Like I said, we're not really, the screen's already got lines in it. So to crack it or anything is no major deal. You can't make it any worse than it already is. The thing you need to essentially treasure at this moment in time is not this one, it's this one here. So the one without the white on, the white is the digitizer, which we're getting rid of. I mean, I suppose you could repurpose this if you took it off carefully enough. You could just stick it on another one if you need it for spare parts even, I suppose. The screen is not going to be reusable after this though, it's going to be a goner. That's a definite. But you'll see when I dissect it. Originally got the idea of you know, the what do you call it, the LED thing. I watched a dude do a solderless mod on YouTube, and I thought that was cool, so I tried the thing with him, and I was watching Mako. He's really cool dude, man. It's like all the Gameboy. It's like a American version of Elliot in it, but with a bit more kind of, I think, know-how. I don't want to say know-how because I don't mean to be disrespectful. I mean in the sense of like technologically wise, he's like a hacker kind of thing when it comes to Game Boys anyway, whereas Elliot's more of like a reviewer. He's a hacker as well, but you get what I mean. we're all noobs in one way or another, aren't we? Is noob allowed? Is that, can I say that? Can you get demonetized if you're not monetized? That can't be good, surely. I never said it. Right, so as you can see, right. So what I'm doing here, I've took the phone off the back to expose what I can, and I'm just going around the edge of it carefully, not to nip this the cable. We don't want to be nipping that. Technically, part of it doesn't matter. So if you do slip, still continue, because if you might slip with a bit, that doesn't matter. If you get what I mean, because it's a part. The bigger part doesn't matter. It's the littler part that you want to conserve. Because there was two original, weren't there? There was the digitizer and there was the LEDs. So at this point, we're not too mad about this. We just want this. But to be fair, I've seen these can be resoldered onto other screens, I think. You know, if it's like, say, one's got a damaged cable or something. I'm going to naffing this if I keep chatting me head off on. Right, so, where were we? Right, so there we go, get the side off nearly. So, gently does it. I'm going to be taking the frame off now. LED's still intact. So at this point, I think we need to pry. Bear in mind, we're not pulling this one here. We're just pulling the one that I said that doesn't matter. Well, technically, it doesn't matter. It might matter because you might be trying to conserve it. Like I said, you dab under SMD soldering or something. These are good things to practice on. I mean, spare parts. If you tend to use them as spare parts, same as spare parts. But I have like boards that I know are beyond anything. And recently reacquired my hot air station, and my intention is to touch up my soldering skills. I got quite good with it at one point. I actually got to the point where I didn't even need to use the hot air station. I could use it with a hot air gun. But to be fair, I didn't test the actual chips. It was just scrapping stuff out of that, so not exactly an accurate analysis. I'm taking care with this, like, but I mean, obviously, you'll see when I get into it. Probably I am probably being extra careful here, but I just don't want to mess it up on camera because obviously I want to try and show you properly how to do this. And it might take a couple minutes longer, but sod it. Let's get it done, yeah. Right. So now we're going to remove these metal clips from around the plastic shielding of the LED. LCD? Sorry, not LED. Alright, so these little clips. At all times, you need to be very careful with this little dangly thing here, because this is the one that's going to be, this is the key to the whole thing. Without that, you might as well call it a day now and try and find another screen. Just, and in case you're curious, you can use working screens, you can use broken screens. As far as I know, as long as the LED technically works. LED, I keep saying LED, the LCD, not the LCD, the LEDs, what am I saying, mate? It is LEDs, I was right the first time. So as long as the LED's in the actual thing, like, they're giving off light, I think it'll work. Right, so we've got everything off now, so this all can go to one side. Again, we'll get repurposed because it's pressed steel, I think that's all. That'll be very useful. And if it's not, it's aluminium, it can get recycled anyway, so. At this point here, we can just pull this stuff off, because if you see there, see this going across, this is what we're after. So, come on, you bugger. We just need to expose that to the point we can get to it. So, obviously careful. Nothing else really matters. Obviously, if you've got saving age reflective stuff, by all means do. You can probably rebuild the screen with it, like just not have any, you know, you call it, actually, oh, yeah, that reminds me of, I'm looking through that now, I moved all the thingamabobs. I wonder if you connected this up, could you make like a projector out of it? Does anyone ever watch DIY Perks? He's an English fella that does like loads of crazy stuff. He made a projector out of a Sony Xperia phone, and he did a similar thing with shining what was a really powerful LED and a massive setup and everything, but that was the premise of it, was to shine it through an LED like this. You know, it was after removing all the filament and the polarizer and all that other stuff. I'm losing myself again. I literally do this all the time, sorry. Right, so at this point, what we want to be doing is gently you'll notice that there's a tiny little, is it a peg or a leg? Whatever, anyway. There's a little white whatchamacallit there, and there's a little white whatchamacallit there. These white square things are the actual LED lights that's what lights up your display. But this, from what I can tell, see where this tiny little capacitor is? I think it's a monolithic capacitor, and then some LED lights. Well, where that starts, there should be some, I think it's like, is it 3mm double-sided tape? So you want to be gentle when you're pulling it up. Very gentle. It's easy as hell to just pop one of the LEDs off if you're not careful, you know, because it's like sticky paper. And let's just say, easy as hell to tear. Come on. I'm sorry I'm not getting the right angle for this, but if I do make one kind of wrong turn here, this is... Well, I'm right because I've got one already, but it defeats the object on it if I don't do it properly. So this little thing here is what you need to harvest from your screen. Either the top one or the bottom one, because they both have it. This is the exact same thing. Let's move that to one side now, because this is no longer needed. This is whatever you want it to be. Well, for your screen that is. For me, it's just going to be repurposed to some other stuff. Now, hopefully there, we've not damaged any of the LEDs. You know, pull them up from the pads or anything. And that capacitor hasn't, like, popped up or anything. It all seems good up to you. I'm not seeing anything dangling off. So at this point, if you want to say put something transparent on the bottom touchscreen, you could give yourself like a light, you know, some kind of like light bar. You know what they do the original one? They put the light bar across, don't they, or the bar across, whatever. I don't like to do that myself. I think it's a bit tacky, but it could be done with this. You know what I mean? This could be something for that. I mean, you could put some like kind of RGB won't work with it. Maybe you put some kind of clear, you know, like you get sweet wrapper kind of thing, like roses or whatever. You got that kind of red, kind of transparent stuff. You put some of that like behind, you know, or wrap it around them or something. Oh, that'd probably melt one actually. I don't hold me to that obviously, but what you can do with this right now, with this is, I've got any tape knocking about. Only ground tape, so that's gonna have to be the one. Alright, so what I do, because I don't want to see them as LEDs, but they need to be LEDs. Obviously, because they're LEDs, they're not going to not be LEDs because you don't want them to be. So what we do, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Stick that down on one side. Oh, I've gone a bit too high there actually. Crap. I'm careful again when pulling it off because, like I said, we don't want to be buggering this up. I'm alright if I do, but you won't be if you do, so it'll be as delicate as you possibly can be. Right, so we want to get it so it's just sticking out the top there. We want to set that capacitor and the LEDs essentially, so we need the top bit sticking out so we can expose it to stick it into the bit we want to stick it into. So at this point now, I don't know if I'm showing this properly or not. Kind of roll it over, like so. Got a little lip on it, and then fold that over like so. Kind of doubles up the thickness of the tape a little bit, so even, in other words, no light's getting through this. And if you cover the bottom screen up as well, I guarantee nothing is going to seep through. I can vouch for that already. I didn't give mine. I undercoated the sprayed it with silver paint. You have to mask in the rest of the thing off so it didn't get on the screen or anything. But that's it. That's all you need to do now. That inside, where is it? Right, so let's bring it back. Where did I put the? There you are. Right, so what I did, obviously, same situation. Tape. So you tape that down, whatever you need to do. You poke that through. But gold up, that is. So gold up goes into that one there, as you can see. Exactly the same thing. I would do it, but I mean untaping all that and everything, and there's no point in me doing that, obviously, because it's illogical. And I could have brought this in process, which I'm hoping I've not, but it kind of proves my point, if you get me. So you just, obviously, you detach that, plug it in, as far in as it'll go. I've got a little white line to kind of correspond with where the, you know, if it's in far enough. And job's are good, and you're ready to reassemble. If you, like me, have a bit of a tricky one, I do find this a bit of a pain in the butt myself, so I kind of grip it firmly there. If I can show you on camera, that is. You also got a nice grip of it. Make sure the catches up, kind of thing. So it ain't gonna catch nothing. And you might think it's instarted, but then it'll kind of click in a little bit more. You put a bit more pressure on it. Not too much, obviously, you'll break it, but I hope that's incorrect. We'll know when we turn it on. If the screen's white when you turn it on, don't go freaking out. You just probably need to reopen it and realign your cable again. I had that same problem myself when I first did it, so now it's just a case of lining it up so it all drops into place, which shouldn't be too tricky. Just, you know, the cable from the actual top screen, it's a bit of a pain in the butt to realign, ironically enough. You'd think it'd be fine because he's got all the swing space in the world, but he really doesn't want to play ball. So the trick is to kind of press it down a little bit. Obviously, you do you in it. Obviously, however you want to get it down, but it will, if you figure it, jiggery poker it kind of thing. Actually, I think right now that might be the. Oh, there we go. There we go. See, might have a little bit of spring and starter, but that's no big deal. We don't need to really connect this Wi-Fi thing, but I find rather than ripping it out, it's just refascinating it. What harm can it do? You know what I mean? Right, so let's stick the screws back in, and I shall show you it working. And as you can see, not one bit of solder was used. I just essentially, other than already having this installed myself, I did exactly what and the glue in as well, obviously. Like I said, there is glue in, I don't know, you could maybe make, if you cut out a piece of plastic or something, you could fill it, I suppose, with that, and like some Bondo or some epoxy or something maybe, and sand it down. What I recommend if you do that though, is what I did when I was, you know, I had this exposed, I put a bit of tape around, you know, the ribbon cable, and I taped it to, you know, the inside where the buttons were here, to kind of, you know, protect it away from any, you know, in case I slip with the sandpaper and, you know, tore up a trace or something like that, because that's not a good thing to happen, as you can imagine, I'm guessing, because you get like miles into it and then you'd be like, oh crap, what have I done? Buggered the whole thing up. And let me say, I've been there many a times when that's been the case. But this way, I would have a lot more videos out if that wasn't the case. Because I'm a little bit jinxed when it comes to electronics, ironically enough. I think probably wrong career to get into, but oh crap, wedged in there, aren't you? Yeah, that's right. Little tip, before you stick it on, check your shoulder buttons, because you will be kicking yourself if you fasten it and you can't shut, you know, say they're wedged in or something, because they do sometimes, you know, where the ball goes in. So I like to frame up before I stick this bit on. Should just fall on this really. Make sure your shoulder buttons are all good again. Get all good. Your tri-wing screwdriver. This I don't think it's harder to do this in, but what I found the most helpful is if you start above the Game Boy Advanced cartridge. That kind of gives you okay anchorage, if you get what I mean. And then do the two top shoulder ones. Obviously, like I say, you do yours the way you want to do it, but I find this is the best way to kind of, you don't get pinches of stuff. You know, like the buttons can stick sometimes, or can is it? What do you call it? Gather. You know, the rubber or whatever. You know, I don't know, you'll know what I mean if you put something wrong together like before. It can be a pain in the butt, so just double check it before you put your second lot of screws in. It's not because at that point, before you put these set of screws in, you can always go back and rectify something with the, what is it, 4 screws that there is under this one. And we've got 7 screws in this top one and 4 screws in the. So we got 7. You call them tri-wing screws and 4 Phillips. And if you get confused about what goes in what, the black screws are the tri-wing ones. They only go in the actual black housing, you know, or the white housing, whichever back you've got. But the silver ones go in the actual green PCB, and they've got a little white ring around where they actually go on the board. They've got it on the DS Lite as well. I can't remember if they got it on the DSi. I'm assuming they probably have done. It's like a engineer thing, so they know where go, you know, what goes where. So that's done now. I think they're all tight enough. They should do the trick. I think we're all good. Yes, we're all good. So I shall stick the battery in. Hopefully it's retaining enough charge, because that'd be a pain in the butt now, wouldn't it? I really should have charged it before I did this video. Let's find out what it looks like then, eh? Am I lucky? Or am I unlucky? Let's find out. So, game in. Right. Another thing as well. You will have to... This is a pain in the butt to set up. So I suppose you could wing it, or you could watch through something on YouTube, I suppose, or something like that, maybe. When somebody first boots up a DS, you've got to go for the name, then the birthday, then... I can't remember what it is, like your colour or something like that. I'm not too sure, essentially, but if you can get past all that and get it set to auto boot from the top screen, even if you take the battery out again, as far as I know, well, up to you, as far as I know, which I'm going to find out now if it does or not, it will start automatically, it will save itself into the system memory now, so that's like a dedicated thing. So even if you forget to charge it for however long, as long as you put a game in it when you first turn it on, it will always automatically boot to the Game Boy Advance game. You get what I mean? If that makes sense? I've not had much sleep, so I'm bloody hell, I didn't realise it go 25 minutes. Right, so let's just get this done. So we're all good. Haha. Massive few there. Now you can hear that or not? That's the volume slider. Yeah, we're on full there. So I'll turn it down 0, up a little bit. That's a little bit. That's like what the normal macro sounds like roughly, yeah? And it's best day. This is full blast. And it's done. It's done nothing spectacular. But holy hell, man! I've got headphones on. You can hear that clearly in regards to what a normal macro sounds like. I'd just power that off and call it a day with that then. Right, well, I hope you've enjoyed that. And remember, this is, it goes gold side up to the, from this way kind of thing. Does that make sense? You can put it wherever you want to put it, obviously. I'm on this one, I'm going to lose the actual cartridge slot and stuff, so I'm fill in this bit and spray it and make it look good. Maybe even give it a Type-C charge port. Not decided on that one yet. I might go macro USB just to be able to play it and safe, because the voltage and stuff. Because Type-C can be higher than 5 volts, can't it? And this can't really do, is it 4.7? Or 5.2, so 5-ish volts is what you need to charge this. So maybe macro USB is the way to go. Anyway, there's a different story. Again, losing myself. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show again. I'll see you again soon with some other moddy stuff in our teardown. Probably a teardown, to be honest with you. Actually, I've got a teardown and a mod. Got a little sneaky peek for the next episode is going to be a teardown of this, which is a Nokia 1600, I think it is. Oh, crap. Sorry, 1208, so very similar kind of candy bar thing. So this is going to be a teardown. That's going to be my next video for this. So whilst doing so, I'm going to be eyeballing the insides of it, because it works. There's nothing wrong with this. Except the one problem I've got is it's thin pin Nokia charger. These old crappy Nokia chargers. And I don't want it to be Nokia charge, I want it to be micro USB. So I figured if I could take this out, dangle my own little things together, so it'd be like, this will be next video, and then the video after that will be me making it micro USB. Success or failure, we'll see how it goes. Well, thanks for watching. I managed to stretch an extra minute and a half out of that, yeah. That's how much my waffling is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, bye.